In this video, we're going to be working through some problem solving with adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. This first one says the perimeter of the figure below is 12 3/5. Find the length of the missing side. So what we have to see here is that we have three sides that we know, one side that we don't. In order to find perimeter is the length of all the sides. We add them all up. And so in this case, if I were going to write, I basically am going to kind of write an equation here, 2 4/5 plus 4 1/10 plus 3 1/2 plus s, which we don't know, is equal to the perimeter, which they told us right up here is 12 3/5. Now I just have to solve and figure out what s is equal to. And what we know when we add and subtract fractions is that we must have a common denominator. So I'm looking for a common denominator between 5, 10, and 2. And another 5 over here. I'm going to look at my biggest denominator first. Can 5 go into 10? Yes. Can 2 go into 10? Yes. This other 5 can as well. 10 goes into 10. So I'm going to use a common denominator of 10. And the very first thing that I'm going to do is create all of these to have a common denominator. I'm going to rewrite them with the denominator of 10. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 4 times 2 is 8. 4 1/10 can stay the same. 3 1/2, 2 times 5 is 10, so 1 times 5 is 5. I've still got my s here. And then 12 3/5, 5 times 2 is 10, so 3 times 2 is 6 here. When I add up, then I can add on this side of the equal sign, I can combine what we call like terms or all the numerical terms. We can't add it with the variable, but we can add these ones. I'm going to add my numerators first. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14. My denominator stays the same, 10. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So I have 9 14/10. Plus s equals 12 6/10. Now, before I go any further, I recognize that 9 14/10 is a mixed number that has an improper fraction. I'm going to convert that to be so that I don't have this improper fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, 10 goes into 14 once. So that means I have 1 more than 9 is 10. And there's 4/10 left over. So 10 4/10 plus s equals 12 6/10. And then the inverse of adding 10 4/10 is subtracting it. So if I do it to one side of the equal sign, then I have to do it to the other. 10 4/10 minus 10 4/10 is 0. Those cancel out. And I get s is equal to 6/10 minus 4/10 is 2/10. 12 minus 10 is 2 whole. And now I just have to make sure my answer is in simplest form. In this case, it's not, because 2 and 10 are both even. So I have to divide top and bottom by 2. And when I do that, I get s is equal to the whole number 2 and 1/5. And that is my missing side length here. Now I should label whenever I can. So in this case, I'm going to label millimeters as my label. 2 and 1/5. Millimeters is my missing side for a perimeter of 12 3/5.